Good morning, Robertson County. What you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. Rich Topper Ambler sing us in for another week. And we're getting a little blast of summer. I saw some friends of mine, getting the sandals back out. We got 70s, maybe even 80, I think, in a day or two. And then we're back down into the 50s. And I know we all fell back, and now it's dark at night, and we're all grumbling and grouching over that. But it's a beautiful day, and I hope you got some great plans for your week ahead. Again, this is one street over. I'm U-Turn LAVern, and this is 1100 WSGI. And I have a very special show for you today. I'm very excited about this. I'm not really sure how we made connection, Kathleen. Who was it that introduced us?
Bob Ritchie.
Yes. And so I get an email saying you need to check this out. And it's all about mushrooms. And it's just fascinating. And the more I read, the more intrigued I got, because people don't realize, and you brought your friend Rowan Millar. I have a grandson named Rowan and one named Miller. I will never forget this man's name. And so, and Kathleen Barrow, that's who is here. And as I started reading about it, my husband and I, we retired to teach. So we're full-time teachers, and we do all kinds of other things, and we love side hustles. We love things, and we've got 40 acres that we've never done any farming on. And we are actively looking for something to farm, because we've got a farm number, and we want that tax credit, and you want that extra. You just want all these streams of income. I had a friend of mine. Y'all know Aaron Slate. He was in here last week, and he's a financial advisor, and he talks about having buckets of income, and it's one of those things. Especially as you get older, you see the necessity of it. Mm-hmm. This sounds like something that not only is reliable, easy to do. It's just something that I don't think is going to have any real hiccups. Like I compare it to livestock and all that, and it doesn't have those issues. So how do we want to unpack this? Because we've got an hour, guys. I think you're going to find this interesting, because there's a lot of farm communities in this area, a lot of people who have land who could possibly look into this, and it's residual income. So where do we want to start?
Should we start from the beginning, old school farm?
Yeah, we can start there.
Okay. So in Rowan, he does have a twinge of an accent, kind of like Jack Martin. He's from Ireland. So if you pick up on that and you're trying to figure out what it is, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So I guessed wrong a while ago, because you mentioned Australia. So what is there a connection to Australia in this or something? You mentioned Australia a while ago.
No connection.
How did this start? How did this get started? Let's just do that. The idea for it, how did this get started?
Well, back, 10 years ago, I started a nonprofit farm.
Okay.
That's Old School Farm in Nashville.
Okay.
We actually hire adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we train them how to farm, pay them competitive wages on the farm, and then we donate all the food we grow through second harvest to the local food banks.
That's amazing.
So we deliver fresh, organically grown produce every week to families in need in Tennessee. That's amazing. So obviously with any traditional outdoor farming, come this time of year, you start to get your first frost in, and you're coming to the end of your last harvest for the season. Mm-hmm. And then you're sitting for, 5-6 months, sometimes without any income coming in for the farm. Other market farmers, we have the same thing. They go to farmers markets, and then everything stops this time of year. And they don't have anything to sell to restaurants, etc. So I was trying to figure out ways to provide a revenue throughout the year. So obviously, I started playing around with indoor farming, hydroponics. We did that for a while, and then we discovered mushrooms. Actually, from discussing what to do with waste coffee grinds from our coffee shop.
For the coffee grinds from the coffee. So you have a coffee shop as well.
I have a coffee shop in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cafe Mackay. And we were taking the taking the coffee grinds to the compost pile for the farm every week.
Yeah.
And I got talking to someone, and we started discussing people growing mushrooms from coffee grinds. And that's kind of what started the spark. We could quickly start it down that road of mushrooms and exploring the world of mushrooms, which you can get really deep into.
Yeah. Functional health mushrooms.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Well, it's like when I was talking with Kathleen, and I said, well, we eat mushrooms all the time. And she says, well, what kind? I'm like, I don't know, little button mushrooms I get at Aldi's. And
Yeah,
you're saying that's just not even close to what is available.
Not even close. And even the people who say, oh, I don't like mushrooms, if you've only tried portobellos and buttons, which is basically the only thing that's readily available for most chefs, or even at the grocery store, that the kinds of mushrooms that we're growing at Totally Mushrooms, the reishi and the lion's mane and the turkey tail and the oysters, like they all taste very different.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially they started experimenting for, I guess, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 2019 we started, and using shipping containers.
Okay.
And we're probably now under our 4th sort of variation of that after 4 or 5 years of R&D and figuring out what works. Because what works well maybe in the Pacific Northwest doesn't necessarily work well in the climate in Tennessee. So
Sure.
you have to sort of look at what your climate is here.
Well, and so, okay, because I'm intrigued because Kathleen says, okay, I'm buying a container, I'm doing this. This is something other farmers need to do. And you're talking about friends that are doing it as an investment. Yes. And so for somebody like me, I'm 60 years old, about to be 61. So I'm at that age, where I love the idea of having residual income. And as I'm listening to this, the investment's not astronomical. No. It's reasonable. And so that's why I'm trying to, so you are the one who founded this company that is saying, hey, you can do this. We need you to do this. So how many people do you have farming mushrooms right now? And how many do you need? Is there a cap at some point? You're like, oh, I got all I can handle to make sure they all make an income. How does that work? Kind of unpack that for me.
Yeah, well, our first farm was last year. It was actually 2 retired doctors, actually in South Carolina. They got into it. Similar situation as yourself and your husband. They owned farmland, lived on farmland, but were doctors during the day. Mm-hmm. So they retired, talked to us. We got them a container, and we shipped them the mushroom blocks, and then they actually made their own customer base in South Carolina with like Charleston, all the great restaurants, farmers markets. So they go sell all their own mushrooms there. So that was our first.
Yes. Well, that's okay. We're in startup mode.
Yeah.
They have been in research and development, so we've only sold a few of these, and we kind of have failed to describe what it is for the people listening.
Okay, and that's the thing. They're
like, what is it?
Because I really don't know the questions to even ask, because I found it so intriguing. And again, if you're somebody, I want you to tag somebody or say, hey, this is something you're interested in. If you have farmland and and you're wanting to do something that will be some residual income and sounds almost, not a ton of work. I mean, it's something that you can really grow into. But let me pause. We've got some breaks we got to take. So this would be a good place to just kind of take a pause and gather our thoughts, because I know I'm kind of all over the place because I've got so many questions myself. So let's pause. We're talking with Kathleen Barrow and Barrow, right? Barrow. I knew I was saying
a wheelbarrow.
Like a wheelbarrow. Very good. Kathleen Barrow. So Barrow.
Like a wheelbarrow.
Like a wheelbarrow. Well, I say a wheelbarrow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, but anyway. But we're talking with Kathleen and Rowan Millar. Oh my gosh, same names as my grandsons. It's so easy. But we need to talk about Cumberland Connect. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, folks, and you need high-speed internet, it is now a utility. It has replaced our phone lines, and we all realize that. And we are so thrilled that we can get access to high-speed internet. If you're somebody that's in the underserved areas, well, good news. If you're a Cumberland Electric customer, it's not going to be long. They're going to be knocking on your door saying, hey, we're here, and we're ready to set you up. You can give them a call if you want to see exactly where they are as far as getting everybody connected. 1-800-987-2362. 1-800-987-2362 is the number you can call. Or you can go to cumberlandconnect.org and put in your zip code. They'll tell you all you need to know. And what you may find out is that they're already in your neighborhood, ready to knock on your door and get you connected with upload speeds that'll blow your mind. I was at like a 3.5. I'm at 500-600 now. It's incredible. You can get a gig for $80. My children say that's like filling a bathtub with a fire hose, but why not? If you can get a gig, most of my friends are in the gig club, and I was paying $65 for terrible internet. Now for $80, I get a gig. It's amazing. For a few extra dollars, I can get an extender out to my barns, which I'm planning on doing. Just haven't gotten it done yet. And their customer service they're just wonderful, wonderful local folks. If you're somebody that's having some financial issues, they have an affordable connectivity program because it is a utility. And it provides qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you could receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. And they've got packages starting at $30 per month. Cumberland Connect, powered by Cumberland Electric. Call 1-800-987-2362. 1-800-987-2362. Always let them know that U-Turn sent you. And okay, we need to unpack this a little bit better. How do we want to? Okay, go for it, Kathleen. How you unpacked it for me, unpack it for the listeners.
Yes, I will do that for you.
Okay.
But what I'm finding as I'm calling a lot of my friends, and I've been in research mode for the past 2 or 3 weeks, is there are a lot of people who take mushroom supplements. They put mushroom powder. They drink mud water. Like I thought it was a phase my youngest daughter was going through, but mushroom health, like the things that it does for your nerve endings, your stress, anxiety, heart, cancer prevention, all these things. And of course, chefs are desperate for anything but button mushrooms and portobellos. And so what they have done, you know those 40-foot shipping containers?
Yes.
Okay, they have taken 40-foot shipping containers and essentially retrofitted them, made it basically idiot-proof. You know, even I could farm it, turnkey mushroom farm in a box. And what's really great about it is if somebody wants to buy a container, they can. However, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, you can do a thing called in-network. And so if you buy your container and then we sell mushroom blocks, and I guess anybody listening would need to Google what does a mushroom block look like, because I was picturing dirty and messy things, and it's a very clean way to do it. And so anyone in-network, up in Carthage, we have a facility that makes the mushroom blocks for you and skips like 7 or 8 steps for you. You buy the mushroom blocks, you make a little X at the end, the mushrooms flower out. After about 2 weeks, you harvest them, you turn the little block around, you make an X on the other side, it flowers out, and then you harvest that, and then the rest, that goes to compost and you replace them. And you can fit up to about 800 of these blocks into your container, and it takes about 20 hours a week to harvest and keep the place clean. But if you sell your harvest back to us, you should be producing about 500 pounds a week that we buy back at $7 a pound. And then we have relationships with food distributors and restaurants in the Middle Tennessee area. And did that help describe everything?
I mean, it's incredible. When you were describing it to me, I'm like, wow. You know, and I mean, that's just amazing. And I guess as somebody that, you know, might consider investing in this, my first thing is, do we want to talk cost? I mean, I feel like you need to kind of let people know, you know, what should it cost, and you know that kind of thing. So what are we looking at then?
Well, that is actually the best part, because if you do the work yourself, the 20 hours a week, it monetizes itself in the first year. And if you stay in network with us and
doing it like you just
doing unpacked. It like, you harvest it, you sell it back to us, we buy back at $7 a pound, then it monetizes in the first year. We're also starting a white glove service because there are a lot of people who don't have a 20 extra hours a week.
Right.
And so the white glove service, if you'll pay them $20 an hour, 20 hours a week, and then your container monetizes in about a year and a half, which is crazy because I've looked at lots and lots of investments, And usually the earliest I would get my monetization is like in 3 years.
Right.
So even if it took 2 years, it was better than anything I looked at.
Mm-hmm.
But also when people are thinking farm, like they're thinking hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million combines.
Equipment and all
yes.
that. Right.
And expensive. And then, it's nothing ever seems to be foolproof. This is basically, you can't go wrong. And one container is only, instead of hundreds of thousands, it's only $75,000.
Okay. And so that would get you, that would get you the container you need. Is that setup, delivery, or what?
That's the container.
Okay.
You pay for extra for your setup and delivery.
Okay. How much more would that be? Do you know?
Well, that'll depend on your site.
Yeah.
So if you have a nice flat lot or something that's already existing, you can just take it, set it. That's a good cost saving. But it's the last one we did is just under $5,000, but we had to put it on concrete piers and
that Jeremy Nana's.
Yeah, some excavation work but I mean basically what you need is a water supply, so city water or a good fresh clean water supply, and probably a 60 amp electrical hookup. So you could probably hook it up. We can plug them into like an RV setup.
Okay. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing to me. And then the blocks, then you buy them about 200 a week, you said?
It's 200 a week.
Okay. Until you build up to where you've got the full house, right?
Yes. Yeah. So eventually after a month, you'll have 200 coming in, 200 coming out that have been harvested on both sides. Are you familiar with Big Daddy Weave?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Jeremy, I forget his last name. Jeremy Redmond, Anna, they have purchased one. In fact, they're getting theirs delivered tomorrow. Oh, today. Okay, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Weave redeemed. Oh, heck yeah.
They're very excited because they bought some land, I think, south of Nashville, and they're excited about having a farm income and
interesting
farm to table, healthy.
Interesting. I guess, it's just fascinating to me. It just seems, because, and I mean, if you don't have, $75,000, $80,000 laying around, because by the time you buy that and you got to do your first, you've got to have some cash on hand, or a company that believes in you, like Farmers Bank or
Farm Credit
Union. I'm a member of the credit union here in Robertson County, and I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see what they would think about this.
There are farm equipment loans. I spoke with someone at Farm Credit, and if you get a loan, I think under $50,000, it's like 8.55%, and over $50,000, it's 7.55%.
Right.
And of course, that's going to vary based on your credit score, but that was in general on a 5-year loan, which was, I mean, I just think it's so wonderful to have something that monetizes and it doesn't continue to cost you money, because I had friends who were Tyson chicken growers, and they they were always millions in debt, because as soon as they paid it off, Tyson said, okay, you have to buy more things with the container. I mean, you want to say for basic maintenance of the heat and air conditioning system, but
just add a second container instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and so the heating and air, so you have to. It has to be an environmentally controlled.
Yes. We ideally for mushrooms, you want about 65 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit on average, and over 90% humidity.
Okay.
And then we have a CO2 control system in place as well, because mushrooms actually generate CO2 as they grow.
Okay.
And different species of mushrooms will require different levels of CO2 while they're growing. But,
okay, well, interesting. And so, as I'm a farm girl, we were talking about how when I grew up in the 70s, we were hog farmers. My father and my mother and my brother and my sister-in-law, they are excellent at going, okay, this is not is profitable anymore, so let's look. And they've always been very innovative in the things that they do and doing the different. They don't have any problem changing and doing something else whenever hogs are not very profitable anymore, and so because of the big factory farms. So if this was something that they were to consider, one of the first things my brother is going to ask, what are the risks?
Yeah.
What are the risks? What kind of, is there funguses? Of course, they're kind of a fungus in and of themselves, aren't they?
They are the fungus.
They are the fungus.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's that. But is there things that can destroy your crop and make you have to reset? And have you had? Because I mean, that's what my brother. That's what he's going to know. And because you and I talked about the fact that people had tried to pursue him to do hemp. And the thing that pushed him back from hemp growing is that he did not see a big enough market, really, and there was so much regulation.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! If it gets just above a little bit of a, if the it's like if the THC gets a little too high, they destroy it, and because then it's not just hemp. So I mean, there were all of those things. He was like, no, thank you. He just didn't want that. So that's going to be the thing he is going to want to know. And he would advise me and say, well, you need to check this out. And I can imagine all the questions he'd have. Let's pause and do another break here because it's already 20 after. I mean, it goes like this when you get in here. This is fascinating. But if you're somebody that has some farmland, and any of us, a lot of the folks that I know in the area, they'll grow hay. And that's what they do to bring in the income that necessitates them being able to claim farmland, those kinds of things. So I've got a lot of friends that are hay growers, and that may be something we do. I've looked into tomatoes and all those different things, but this just to me is fascinating, and I love mushrooms, and I would love to be, I don't know, it just sounds cool. But anyway, okay, we need to talk one more time about Veterans Motorplex because, we'll talk about them all week, but they've got their last weekend of racing coming up this weekend. It has been really cool. Last year, if you'll remember, as they were trying to wrap up the season and they ran a couple of races in November, the weather was just terrible. So we're going to hope that, and we had beautiful weather this past weekend for it, but we're going to hope for another wonderful weekend to close it out, guys. So if you want to get out to the races, one more shot before they close down for the season. Of course, they'll be back at it in the spring, but it is a fun time. This is a family-friendly environment, and just can't say enough about Jerry and what he's done with the Old Highland Rim Speedway. This is Veterans Motorplex. If you're wondering where it's located, well, you haven't been paying attention. It's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. They open the gates Saturdays at 4. Racing starts at 6, goes till about 9 o'clock. Weather's looking a little cool this weekend, so bundle up. But come out hungry. They've got a great concession stand, all kinds of fun things. They'll do little games with the kids, big wheel races, that kind of thing in between races. But you will have a great time. Local favorites out hitting that track. Sometimes some teenagers even hitting the track. It is exciting. It is fun. And you do not want to miss that final race that's happening this weekend, Veterans Day at Veterans Motorplex, 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. Again, the gates will open at 4. Racing starts at 6. $40 ticket will get you up to 6 kids and 2 adults in for one price. That is a great deal, a great place to spend the weekend. Again, Veterans Motorplex, Veterans Day. Of course you want to go. And when you get out there, be sure and let them know U-Turn sent you. Talking with Kathleen Barrow. I'm not going to say it all night. And then we're talking with Rowan Millar, and we're talking about all things mushrooms, guys. How crazy is this? What is the name of the company? Can they Google you and find out anything? Okay.
It's Totally Mushrooms.
Totally
all things mushrooms, Totally Mushrooms.
TotallyMushrooms.com. Yeah.
TotallyMushrooms.com. And this all came about from Old School Farm up in Nashville, a nonprofit. How long has that been? Did you tell us? When did that start?
This year's our 10-year anniversary coming up. So we broke ground in January 2014.
What made you want to do that? What's your background?
My background is in working with adults with disabilities.
Wow.
Cool. So that's why I actually ended up in the United States.
God bless you. That's wonderful.
In Nashville. So we actually purchased an old school back in 2012, moved in 2013. So we're actually there 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's in a small farming community in Davidson County. So it's like the last rural farming community in Davidson County. It's just 15 minutes from downtown Nashville. So it's known as Bells Bend, Scottsboro neighborhood.
Okay.
You've got Beeman Park, Bells Bend Park. So there were other small market farmers there, and we were always wanting to do something more meaningful during the day for the folks that we provide services for. Mm-hmm. And outdoors would be perfect, fresh air. So we talked to the other farms in the neighborhood, and they helped us and advised us on how to get started with our farm. I had some horticulture experience from Ireland, working with groups of disabilities there, doing horticulture. And so farming wasn't too big of a step.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what got us going. We've been going 10 years and growing bigger and bigger. We started a pottery studio along with it. So
Oh,
yeah, folks can take pottery courses and classes.
old school pottery, downtown Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
How cool. How cool. And do you know Nate Hale from Madison Church of Christ? He does a lot of this kind of same stuff, and I just can't believe y'all have not crossed paths. He needs to come and see you.
Yeah.
He's our youth minister at the church, and he does hydroponics. His office is like a jungle. With all these things growing, and he helped set up farms in Honduras at one point. So he's a fascinating. You remind me so much of him, and I'm just saying, oh my gosh, I would be surprised if y'all didn't know each other. But we have a community garden at our church. And they do all of the things, but I think he'll be all over this. I'd be like, oh yeah. I mean, I could just see him loving this idea, but I'll definitely have to put him onto this because I think it'd be something he'd be super interested in seeing your facility. But and it's like when you mentioned for some reason, I feel like I know about it, but maybe I don't. Maybe I've got you confused with another group because I don't remember this being the one I was, there was a farm that I had somebody on and they're local. And I thought their name was similar, but they're not a nonprofit. I mean, they're a farm. So I just think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I just think that's wonderful.
Yeah, Old School Farm was set up as a nonprofit. So yeah, we're continuing to do our fundraising and plugging and making community partners. But it's a very easy program to duplicate and expand in other areas and with other populations as well.
That's very cool. So yeah, he's just tapping. We remind everybody, don't tap the desk because it echoes a little bit. But have you done any work with hats?
Yeah, we actually, so going back, Miller Rich is my main business that I started back with my partner, Susan Richardson. It's a for-profit.
So it is for-profit.
Yeah, we work with the state of Tennessee for adults and for children through DCS. And we specialize in kids and adults with disabilities. But I know hats as a day program back in the day when some of our folks
we have
would
one
actually
here.
Yeah, one here too. Yeah, and we have homes in the Clarksville area up as far as Dover and Paris.
I have a friend with a child that is involved with that, and an adult child that has disabilities.
Yeah,
and it's just an amazing program. So when you hear about this, you're just like, well, of course, this is a wonderful idea. This is a wonderful program, and I love the sound of it. And so as, and this is kind of a question I ask on the very front end. So if I'm wanting to invest in this, how secure is it for my investment? I mean, is this something that you feel like if you signed 50 people up, you'd have enough business for them? Do you have a number that you're saying locally, this is how many we need in network? What does that look like? What is that?
Kind of goes hand in hand with, so as we add customers, we add containers. So, I mean, and we're trying to do it regionally. So, for example, in the Clarksville area, we don't have any growers yet. Most of our growers are in the Nashville area or close surrounding areas. So there's definitely room to expand. The mushroom market is still pretty young as far as local growers in Tennessee. There are a number of growers, but not on large scale. So we're trying to operate as a cooperative where we bring other struggling farms. All farms or small farms are struggling, whether they're beef farmers or poultry farmers or produce farmers. They need a diverse income stream. So what are the alternative income streams that we can go year round with? If you're investing in beef, it's an 18-month investment. Whereas the mushrooms are almost, 10 to 14 day is when you're going to have your first harvest after setting up. And you mentioned earlier on about the risk, what other risks are involved. So we're trying to make this as simple a process as possible for folks who may not have any growing experience in mushrooms, as easy as possible and as foolproof as possible. So we do all the steps up to the fruiting and harvesting. So the steps that have the highest risk, we are doing for you, and then we have, with the price of that investment, we're also investing our time for the first year to make sure that you guys are successful, make sure you're comfortable growing your mushrooms, We're able to answer your questions. If things aren't going quite as you plan, we're able to help with that process as well.
Mm-hmm.
But once the blocks are in your fruiting chamber, which is your farm in a box, and your environment controls are set, it's pretty foolproof. You keep the place clean, and you harvest when you're supposed to harvest. You pack when you're supposed to pack, and
it's pretty hard to ruin mushrooms. I've spoken to some people who've tried to grow mushrooms, but they just tried to set up in the greenhouse. They already had another little section of it, and they have to have their own space because they grow completely differently with this. You have to have the right temperature. How much was the temperature?
Yeah, cool temperatures. So around about 65. They can depending on the species, they can handle a little lower, a little warmer.
Yeah, and they need a constant humidity.
And then air exchange. So oxygen exchange. So when the CO2 levels get too high, there's an exchange of air, so you get fresh oxygen.
I love it. I mean, I think it's just, intriguing. I find it absolutely fascinating. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to, the old farm girl in me is trying to think of things that could go wrong, but I'm going, I don't really see it.
Believe me, we thought through all of these things. And as I've been speaking with people over the past 3 weeks, the one thing that you have to do is like whatever they say, put the temperature on this, the humidity on this, the CO2 on this, then you have to do that. But as far as selling it, we're setting up, we already have relationships with food distributors, but we're always welcome, any more, because we want to make sure that we have the restaurants that'll take the mushrooms, but then we have a plan B. We've met with a supplement company.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's always a good plan B. Before I'm going to put my money in anything, I like to have more control over it.
Right. So if for some reason the market falters and people are just not needing as many, then you've got the supplement market. Yeah, I mean, y'all thought of everything. You really have. Yes. And so how did you get involved, Kathleen? How did you get involved?
I'm a partner in a company called All Things New, and we help startups start up.
Okay.
And so I'm the chief sales officer, so to speak, and I just joined them, and Totally Mushrooms is the first one that I got to help with, which is exciting because I've so enjoyed. I know I sound country, but I'm really a city girl, so I have really enjoyed learning about farming. I mean, everybody I've been calling my friends, I'm just like, I'm in research mode, and I've learned so much about ag and farming. And what I love about this is it's really hard to go wrong. Like, you would just have to completely neglect your facility. It does take 20 hours, and that includes your harvesting and keeping it clean. But if you Google what a mushroom block looks like, it's not super dirty.
Yeah. And my husband and I, we looked into this after we talked to you, and because we were driving out to see the grandkids the other day, and got into a conversation because it's just absolutely fascinating to me. And I kind of keep coming back full circle to the fact that any of us that have land, and that, okay, there's a tax break you can get if you farm up to this much per year and you make this much income, and it's much lower than what you had said it was like $1,500. And at one time when I first started checking into it, I think it was $5,000. And you're saying it's only 1,500 and 15 acres?
That's what I was told is 15 acres.
I'm not specifically sure because
15 acres minimum. So
and 15
is usually what it takes to get your farm number
and earn at least $1,500 a year.
I think the land, we've got a farm number and we've not earned farm income. So we have a farm number just kind of sitting there and just have never, I don't want livestock. I do not. I grew up dealing with livestock. I know how much work it is. I don't want livestock beyond my dogs. I just don't. Yeah. My husband's like, we can get some goats. I'm like, no. But anything, I've really looked into tomato grower and thought about, setting aside a little bit of the land for some hay production. But I don't really want to fool with hay. I kind of like my grass mowed. I like the way it looks. And so this is the first thing that really perked my interest in a long time. And so how could I get started? What do I need to do if I'm really interested in this? What's my next step?
Well, I guess they need to go to totallymushrooms.com and click contact us.
Okay.
And one of us will reach out to them, and then we'll meet up at the farm. You really need to tour the facility. We need to get yours set up today also, because once you see it, you're like, it is so cool. And when you see the mushrooms that are growing, then you can actually picture what's going on. Mm-hmm. And when after you decide, yes, I want to do this, then we do a site visit to make sure it is accessible and we can deliver it. And then after that, you put a half deposit down, and it takes, probably about 6 to 8 weeks until delivery. And then we deliver it and set it up for you. Of course, you pay the delivery. Mm-hmm. But then, like Rowan said, and we also have another mushroom expert. His name is Ben. What's Ben's last name?
Lyles.
Mm-hmm. Ben Lyles. He is incredible. The more I hang out with him, the more I learn about all the things that mushrooms can do. And that's another great thing about having your own, is you're going to be able to have fresh lion's mane, fresh turkey tail. And once, like, I've been just researching what all of them do, like, why it's ancient science what mushrooms do for our health, but it got lost, and I'm really glad it's becoming a craze.
That's cool. And, mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking a lot about my brother, because they are farmers, full-time farmers. Mm-hmm. And we have the old buildings where we housed livestock for years. Mm-hmm. So we've got all this concrete. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be such an easy thing for them to go into. I'm going to have he's harvesting soybeans right now, I think, still. Not really sure, because they do corn. They do the food grade corn, but they also raise soybeans too. And so I try not to bother him when he's in, harvest mode. But this is something I think he would find very intriguing. And anybody that's out there farming, this is Totally Mushrooms, where you go and check it out. It's absolutely fascinating to me. The farm, the old school farm, how far is it from Robertson County? You said. Exactly where is it? What
took us 35 minutes?
That's not bad at all.
This morning. Yeah, so it's on the west side of Nashville, off of Briley Parkway.
Oh, really? Okay. That's why I can't believe you don't know Nate, because his family has some farmland out there. That's why I'm surprised y'all's paths haven't crossed. And he may know about you and has maybe just not met you, but I'm going to connect y'all with him too, because here's the thing. As a church that is trying to be very active. We're at Old Hickory Boulevard and Gallatin Road, right there on that corner, that big church. And we're trying to do everything we can to engage the community right now, because, that's what we're called to do. And so we've got the community garden. I think this would be a wonderful church investment.
Yes.
Because once it has paid for itself, then it's going to generate income that can be poured back into all the things. That's
a great idea. I even reached out to my mother's assisted living facility because they have people that could harvest it 20 hours a week and have fresh mushrooms. Like, that would save them so much time and energy. Plus, all the health issues that the people in the assisted living have could be helped by having the functional health mushrooms.
Well, and that's one thing too. We have somebody that we're close to that could use the activity, and with it, because my husband and I, we really are stretched thin on time. But we have somebody in mind. We're like, oh, this might be really a good thing for us to invest in and give them some purpose, you know. And so I'm very intrigued. Need to talk to my Robertson County Credit Union and say, hey, what do you think about this? It sounds fascinating to me. And I don't know. When you've got something, when you sit and look at the numbers, you kind of unpacked it for me about the income, where you can literally pay for it within a year if you do the work, a year and a third if you're paying somebody to do the work, to where it's paid for, and then it's income.
Straight income forever. Because people are never going to stop eating mushrooms.
Well, no, because I read a lot of historical novels, and mushrooms are a thing. I even mentioned to you that I'm always intrigued by how they go out and they find wild mushrooms, and I'd be afraid to, because I'm afraid I'd get a hold of something that's bad for you, because you got to be careful about that kind of thing. But this, I'm just so intrigued. I'm so intrigued. And if you find this interesting, guys, go to Totally Mushrooms. You can Google it. Go up to, is there let me go ahead and do my next break. But is there a time that people can just drop in at the old school farm, or is it something they would need an appointment? Let's talk about that. If that's something they could just kind of wonder and say, I heard about this, and can they do that, or do you prefer appointments? So we're going to continue talking with Rowan Millar and Kathleen Barrow. Did I say it right that time? Oh my goodness! All right, and we're going to continue our conversation here on 1100 WSGI. And we want to talk about our friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Let's just unpack right now. If you want to call Rebecca, that number is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. And if you get in touch with her, she is the broker in White House, guys. She is the broker in White House. Barry is the broker here in Springfield for Exit Realty. He has an office there on the square, and they want to help you. If you've got any kind of concern when it comes to buying and selling, at the real estate table. He is a marketer, came out of a marketing background, vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years up in Nashville. They have been in Cross Plains for 27, 28 years. So they're one of us. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. You can get with them at sellwithbecky.com or buy.robertsoncounty.com. You can call them. Or you can just Google them. We're talking about, Googling totally mushroom. Well, you can Google Barry Richards, Exit Realty Garden Gate Team, Rebecca Richards, Exit Realty Garden Gate Team. You're going to get completely unique web pages because they, again, are independent brokers, even though they help each other and they work together. They are independent brokers, and you're going to find out all about them, all about what they do. There'll be a search engine on there where you can start your search, whether it be, I want to research this zip code and see what I should be asking for my property, or I want to research this zip code and see if I can afford to move into that area. You can find out all that and find out all about them. You can find out about historic properties, not just homes, but businesses that they've helped sell. And just a great couple that are just always pouring into the community in so many ways. We talk about that a lot as well. They are just helping so many different folks and just good friends. I've known them for a long time, and would love to recommend them to you. Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Connect with them again, and when you do, let them know U-Turn sent you. Okay, so that question, can we just drop in, or do you want us to make an appointment?
Probably make an appointment would be ideal.
Okay.
So we can make sure that we can give you the best tour.
Okay.
And there's someone around. So.
Mm-hmm. But now you have you disabled adults that come in and work. Are they there working every day?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, they have hours that they work.
Half days.
How many people do you think that you help with that?
So on the farm, we probably have about 6-7 employees.
Okay.
There year round. Pottery studio right now we have 4 or 5. And we have some part-time teachers that come in and teach classes also. And our goal for 2024 and 10 years is to really expand the program.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more food we can grow, then the more folks in Tennessee who need access to fresh food can get it for free.
So if I know an adult that might be a good candidate for a job, would that be a possibility? Somebody I could refer?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, but funny enough, most of the guys and girls that work on the farm have been there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are coming up on 10 years.
Okay.
So, but people think it's a fun job, but when you're out there in July and it's almost 100 degrees and you're
like, oof.
Yeah, lots of water breaks and you're in the sun and
yeah.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but if you love outdoors and love getting your hands and feet dirty, then
that is fascinating. Yeah. And what is the? I had a question and it escaped me. Oh shoot! I hate it when that happens. Oh, what other kind of things do you grow? What are the mushrooms we've talked about? So
the mushrooms are they don't. Old School Farm isn't growing mushrooms yet.
Okay.
We're doing all that at Totally Mushroom.
Okay.
Old School Farm's your traditional market gardens. So you have spring, summer, and fall crops. Mm-hmm. I mean, your usual. Obviously, strawberry season's the favorite. But we have a few guys that like to harvest okra. And there are not many of those around.
No. That's hysterical. That's really funny.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but their favorite thing is actually once everything's packed up, it's taking it to the free grocery stores like the store in Nashville, which is Kim and Brad Paisley's
yes.
place.
Down by Belmont.
Yeah. They take a truckload of fresh produce there every week, and I mean I think they're doing like 450 families at least a week.
That's amazing. Well, we have. I mean, I'm not sure that some of your things haven't come through the Benevolent Center at Madison because we have a huge store there that we do the same kind of thing that the Paisleys do, and through Second Harvest and all of that, and So we do a lot of food distribution up in the Madison area at our church. And it's just intriguing. It is just such a good benefit. And how many acres now? So we talked about all the different produce you have. So how many acres does Old School Farm encompass?
We have a 2-acre garden.
A 2-acre,
2-acre garden, and
last. You talk. I thought, man, it would have been bigger than that.
We have a 2-acre garden, and last year we donated $45,000 worth of food.
Wow, that's amazing what you can do. People don't have any idea what you can do with a small amount of acreage. But that's the thing. They look at my acreage and they're like, "Oh, you need my brother, LAVern. You need to be making some money with that land." Oh yeah, I mean, he's been on me, and we had a roofing company there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, but that's been 10 years ago. I mean, we've been out of business for 10 years and just kind of trying to figure out what we want to do. And so it's time to figure out what we want to do. And that's why, you were talking.
God connected us.
Yeah. That's what's so crazy about it. It's just the timing, because we're at that place now. We're teaching and we're kind of getting our groove. We got so much to learn. Oh my goodness, teaching. I think that's probably the only holdback we have is we're still trying to get our teaching license secure. We got classes to take. We are really just running crazy. But there is somebody that could run it for us,
Exactly.
That's in mind, and very specifically. And I'm going, man, I don't know. I'm going to be praying about it for sure, because this is fascinating to me. And I'll tell you, I got one more break to do, and I've been kind of saving it because this is somebody else that I think would find this intriguing. And that is Amy Corbin at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. She is somebody that's always interested in this kind of stuff. And so I'm going to talk to her about it and say, hey, have you heard about this? Because she's got all kinds of things going. They do and this is their ad right now. Go and see Miss Amy and Miss Jane and all the Corbins. I actually ran into Amy at the Christmas sampler. And yes, I did get there in time to get some cinnamon bread for my mother. So yay. But that is just a wonderful place, the Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, for any of your questions that you might have about any kind of gardening. They do, of course, their vegetable sets and all of those things in the spring. And Amy will tell you, this little blast of summer that we're getting right now is a good time to clear out everything that died in the frost we had last week. Get it cleared out, get things tilled, and get it ready. Because when February comes, mid-February, that's when cool vegetables go in the ground, guys. And I mean, it's really, we only get just a little bit of a break from gardening. And she is somebody that is, she's like, I'm done with winter, spring's a-coming. This is the time to get your perennials in the ground, and that will be beautiful burst of color for you as the things start warming back up. And it will happen before you know it. Those mums, they're perennials, guys. Keep them watered, plant them in the ground, and she can talk to you about how to make sure that they come back year after year. All the things gardening needs, you will find them at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. Of course, they are your CBD source for Robertson County CBD products. Her brother Bill grows the plants that they use to produce the products that they sell there. The oils and things that I use to help me with my arthritis. They've got, of course, the salves that she and Miss Jane make there at the house, and soaps and coffees and all kinds of things infused with CBD. If you want to get some really unique gifts for some friends, that is friends and family, this is a really great time to do that. Go to Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. You're going to find them, of course, open winter hours right now, 10 to 4 Monday through Saturday, 1 to 4 on Sunday. They're at 4920 Highway 161, 4920 Highway 161. You can call them 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Always let them know that U-Turn sent you. And that's the last of the commercials for the rest of the morning. We've got about 10 minutes, folks. What are we missing that you want to make sure
thought of one thing. You can also, because we've been mostly talking about in-network, but if someone already has a CSA, they can do what we're calling out-of-network.
CSA, what does that mean?
Communities.
Shared agriculture.
Communities
So a lot of small market farms do CSAs.
Okay.
And you go to farmers markets and sell your mushrooms, you're going to get a really high price for them. Mm-hmm. Or go direct. You're going to direct sales. You get a higher price. Obviously, lower volume of sales, but or you could do a combo.
Right. So we wouldn't have to do in network.
No.
Well, and I asked the question, and my husband was like, don't ask that question on the air. But you said it's a legitimate one because I've got a barn, and why could I not use that? But then when you're talking climate controlled and all of those things, I would pretty much have to build a room within my barn and make it climate controlled for it to work. Mm-hmm. So the shipping containers are airtight. They're that kind of thing. They bring all that to the table. And, you were talking about if I was familiar with shipping containers. I'm part of Baja Missions. We work with Baja Missions down in the Baja Peninsula in Mexico. There's a church down there built from shipping containers. So I'm quite familiar.
Yes.
They're very versatile. There's some amazing things you can do with those. There's like a whole mall in a place where we visit in Mexico that's built out of shipping containers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It is fascinating what you can do with these things. But you got to know where to get them and how to set them up, and the setup, just what you're talking about with the heat and the cool and the humidity and all of that.
Yeah,
You can answer those questions, and they're there for you for the first year to make sure that you get your questions answered and that you know everything you need to know. You've got the mushroom blocks. My husband and I got on and we Googled, you can get mushroom blocks on Amazon. But I mean, truly, but not any less expensive than what y'all have got them. And you're getting, they're more expensive.
More expensive,
Yeah, and I forget what they were.
We have a special price for our customers.
Right.
Special wholesale price. And but yeah, I mean, some of the things that come in, we're setting your container up so that it's USDA certified with GAP. So it's good agricultural practices. We'll make sure all our farms are set up with that also. We use food grade walls on the inside, marine grade flooring. So everything is very, very easy to keep clean, sterile, to give your mushrooms the best environment to grow in.
I love it. Do you have to put it on concrete? Does it have to have a concrete?
No, as long as it's on a level.
Okay.
Pads, we can use pads.
Okay. As in, and what would that? Because I mean, we've got some concrete, but we've got just a gravel lot. Where we used to park our roofing trucks. We've got this nice gravel lot. That could be easily.
Yeah, they're pretty mobile. It's a modular. We can. You can expand your farm through these, add a packing room, add a cool room, within a container model as well. I'm very
interested. I think this is just such a cool idea.
Isn't it?
I think my brother and sister-in-law might be interested in this because so that's in the West Kentucky area. So what would be would they be able to be in network in West Kentucky, or would they have to do their own distribution?
We're working with distributors and expanding our network with the distributors. So as we expand, the farms can expand. And that was your brother who does the soy.
Yeah. Do you have somebody in West Kentucky?
We're not yet, but one of the distributors we do does have a base in Kentucky also.
Okay. Do you have any farmers in Kentucky?
Oh, no farmers there, no.
I may have one for you.
Yeah.
I may have one for you because he's got 3 boys. And, we want more than anything, if they possibly can keep the land, because he's 3rd generation. I'd love to see my nephews and to continue that. But you've got to make it feasible. There's in anybody, I've got a sweet kid that's in my class right now in my homeroom. And I say, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he goes, I really want to farm, Miss Vivio. And I'm like, do you have any land? And he doesn't have, they really don't. And I talked to him about the practicalities of the equipment, all that. He could do this. He could do this. I'm going to talk to him about this too, because he's a junior.
I'm
going to talk to him about this because I think this is something.
He for college with it.
He has it. He wants to farm.
Yeah.
He wants to farm. I don't think he has a desire to go into higher education. He wants to get to work. And in this area, you've got a lot of kids that have grown up with a rural influence. And there's a big future farmers presence.
Oh, good.
And this is a great investment. Our CTE program and all the future farmers stuff that we're doing, why in the world will we not do this? And put one of these, you could put one of these, you could put a mushroom factory in each school.
Exactly.
Think about the income it would generate. And
yes, great idea.
Mr. Gregory, I'm just saying, that's our CTE director, but truly, I just see so much potential for this. This is so cool. And when are you getting your farm in a box? I know you say you're going to do one.
I paid my deposit.
Kathleen's container arrives today for the build out. It arrives today also.
Gosh.
Yeah, and I have spent the past 3 or 4 years looking at different investments, and this one, it was just a total. I was about to invest in bourbon storage because I know bourbon, but this is much more fail safe. And what I like about it is I am in control of it because we're going to make sure that we're sure that anybody who buys a container, we have distribution through restaurants, through food distributors.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that we do support people who have land or want to have farming and healthy options, because a lot of people aren't eating it. We're eating so many processed meals and processed foods, and cancer rates are going up, and heart disease and Alzheimer's, dementia. Like, there's so many things that don't have to go wrong if you're eating healthy and farm to table.
I don't know if y'all know Doc Brown, that's up in Clarksville, has the Wild Roots Chiropractic.
Oh.
I could totally see. He's our chiropractor. He comes in here once a month and does a show. And so I'm going to mention it to him too. My husband's going to be there today, as a matter of fact. So we need to talk to him about this, Dr. Dale Brown. But I think he'll be intrigued by it. There's so many people that come to mind. And again, the schools, the churches, and an investment coming from a nonprofit that's so beautiful as to what y'all have been doing, and to bring that into these other things. Oh my goodness. And a place for you to make residual income, use your farmland, get your farm number. I just love this. I think this is fascinating. And anything, we've got a few minutes here. Anything else that we're missing that y'all want to throw out there before we finish up?
Well, you did mention the nurseries.
Okay.
So your end product, your byproduct of growing mushrooms is you can make mushroom compost. Now, it's not your traditional mushroom compost with manure in it. This is non-manure based growing. So, it's good for vegans. If you don't want to have any manure based compost, it doesn't use peat. It's peat free also. And so, after you're finished with your blocks, you just turn them into compost. So we put those in your garden.
Or you can sell your compost as it grows, and that's another way to make money from your mushrooms.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, as soon as you said that, I'm like, vegan? Yeah. I mean, how many? I've got a vegetarian kid, that is mindful of all those things. And oh my gosh. And again, you've got to meet Nate. You've got to meet our youth minister. And I've got a feeling he probably knows about you. I just have a feeling, but I will make that connection for sure, because you guys speak the same language. Absolutely. And I could just see this being such a great investment for our congregation and for schools and us personally too. I don't know. How can we get in touch with you again? Tell them as we kind of wrap everything up here. How are we going to get in touch with you?
You can reach us at totallymushrooms.com and reach out through the contact there, and one of us will be in touch.
Very good. And just, talk to your banker, or if you have some money setting aside, this would be a great investment. How can they get in touch with you? Are you with Totally Mushroom, or do they have?
Oh, yes.
Is that how the? Okay.
If you go to totallymushrooms.com, then fill the contact us, and Rowan or I will have that number and we'll call.
Okay, very good. I can't say enough about it, guys. It's fascinating. It's intriguing, and I like mushrooms. I just didn't know that they were so broad and expansive into the different things that were available out there. So thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for making the drive out here. And if we can do anything, tell people. We'll be in touch for sure. Going to definitely get my brother involved in this in some way or shape or form. And if he's listening, he's probably going, you better talk to me about it first, LAVern. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Be sure and join us tomorrow. We're going to be speaking with Amy Lawrence from NAMI, checking in with her here on 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.
Everybody, this is Old Man George Johnson. After 50 years of singing gospel music, at this time in my life,